Hi there, I'm Aly Elliott.
Hi there, I'm Aly Elliott. Welcome back to my channel. We're continuing the Hiraeth series today, the story behind the images of the bereaved siblings project. And we're going to talk about Abigail today. And Abigail's mama is one of my most favorite people. She's just full of joy and so kind and caring. And she was one of the first bereaved mothers that I met after my own daughter passed. And we met through Miss, much like a lot of us through the Hiraeth Project. We met through Miss in the aftermath of whose ever loss was more recent. And in the case of Abigail, my daughter passed about 6 months after Abby did. Um, her mother is just an absolute presence, and I feel so lucky to know her. And of course, we all wish we didn't know each other because we would be living different lives with different circumstances. But we are very grateful to have each other as our support and our tribe, and I'm very grateful. And grateful to Miss always. And I know that's come up a few times in this video series regarding the images, and I just can't overstate that. It's just a huge deal. And Abigail's mom is one of those people who has been very important to my journey as a bereaved mother. And I feel like I know Abby, and I feel like I know her story, and I feel like I knew what her face was going to look like. Just like we can see our own children, we get this vision in our minds of what our friends' children would look like if they had gotten to age the way we all expected them to. So this was, Abby's family was one of the first ones to sign up when I talked about doing this, and they were more than willing to trust me with this task of bringing them back for just a glimpse. And that's no small feat, and that is a huge honor. And I felt the pressure. And we tried for a long time to we live 5 or 6 hours away from each other, and our travels just barely missing. And it worked out that my kids had a tournament in Memphis that wasn't too far from where they lived, and it was near Christmas time, and I really wanted that magical childhood Christmas moment for one of these images. And I called around. I didn't want to use somebody else's space without their permission. So I called around. I tried to look online, not being familiar with the area. It was difficult to try to figure out who was going to have a beautiful magical storefront, and I knew that we weren't going to get there during normal business hours. We were staying right downtown, so it was very lucky, and I got in touch with I think it's an eye doctor. Yes, because there were glasses in the window, and they were so kind. So huge shout out to these amazing prop owners. Yes, they set up their storefront as a prop for me. They were so gracious to allow us to do this. I told them a little bit about the project, and I had to do that from time to time for different spaces that I was hoping to use. And we had to be flexible with this project because we could get together, and it was a very limited opportunity for time-wise and location-wise, and they were so grateful, or I was so grateful, and they were so gracious to allow us to use this. And he said that they were very proud of their storefront, of their Christmas storefront, and it was beautiful, and we're so very grateful to use it. And as you can see by some of the behind-the-scenes images, it was dark already. It was, I don't actually know when this was December. And my kids had a tournament down in Memphis, and we walked to this space. I'm pretty sure that the roads were blocked off to cars, that it was just a pedestrian pathway. And we met Abigail's family down there, and it didn't take very long. And we just kind of worked with what we had. But I really wanted this to have that magical, sparkling joy of childhood wrapped into this picture, because how I know Abigail is through Abigail's mother, and she is such a bright light to everyone that she meets. And I wanted this kind of magic that, you know, when your child dies, you miss a little bit. You miss a little bit of that magic. And the twinkles aren't quite as bright. But for our living children, we do our very best to keep that shine on the lights. So I wanted, within the project as a whole, I wanted all of the seasons represented. And the holidays being a sad time for a grieving family, you know, it's something that we have to make an effort for. And I wanted that represented visually within this project. So that was kind of the concept behind this. And I use reflections a lot because for me, it was a way to tie the bereaved siblings in a tangible way so we can actually physically see them, but recognize that other people can't. So sometimes you have to kind of look. And I liked the little bit of chaos in this window, and the way the twinkle lights and the double panes of glass kind of give, you have to take kind of a second glance at everything to be able to see it clearly. And I just knew exactly what I felt like she would look like. And her features came together so effortlessly. It was totally out of my hands. You know, I mean, obviously it was in my hands because I did it, but it felt like that's exactly right. That's exactly what I intended. And for it to come together in that way felt very natural. And her family was such a pleasure to work with. And some of the things that, so I asked in my questionnaire, what were some of the things that remind you of? Butterflies were one of them. So you can see tucked into that, and that was part of what made this a little bit easier, was the chaos of the twinkle lights and the storefront and the window. And you have to kind of look for everything. You have to kind of look for the reflection of her living siblings as well as her. And then you have to kind of, nothing really stands out. It's all kind of blending together, the little snowmen and the trees and the lights and all of that. So it was easy to tuck in some of these things. The hardest part for tucking in, there was the butterfly, and you can see it right in the bottom third of the window, and a butterfly and pink naked lady flowers. And the hardest part of that was finding one to photograph. And I did. I asked some of my friends, because I certainly don't have one. I can't keep plants alive. And none of my friends had one, but we found one at Lowe's. So that was really lucky. And we kept it for as long as we could. And it's in Keely's garden now. But that was kind of one of the easier ones to tuck the little Easter eggs in there, because they don't stand out even though it's butterflies and flowers in the midst of a winter scene. But then when you see them, it kind of grabs your attention and you go, okay, there's a wink. And that's what I wanted for these images, just have little winks all over it. So I will read to you now what Abigail's mama wrote. I want people to know that there is life after loss. I recently heard a preacher speaking at a young person's funeral. He said that life is like a big puzzle. Sometimes we automatically see where the puzzle pieces will fit in, and sometimes we have to look back to see how the different pieces of life were placed in our puzzle. When you lose a child, you're given a piece of your puzzle, of your life puzzle, that will never fit anywhere. You will search for a place for it to fit, but will never fit just right. I've never heard an analogy like that, but it's perfect. Even though we have to do our best to make the pieces fit for the rest of our time on earth, there will always be that one piece that we'll keep trying to place in the puzzle, but the piece just doesn't have anywhere to go. Not a holiday, birthday, family vacation, sending your kids to school, or activities moment that I don't think of Abby and where she would fit. I'll always have a missing piece of my heart in life. There will always be a pang with every step I take for the rest of my life, and that is okay. I would rather carry this for my daughter who is in heaven than to have never have known her at all. And I echo that sentiment. I think all of us bereaved mothers that I know personally do. And that's my go-to when someone says, I know that the dreaded question, how many children do you have? Within the bereavement community, that is the question that catches your breath. And I look forward to it. And I will always say 6, even though they only see 5. And most of the time people don't count. And when I noticed that after, we were a few kids in and people just didn't really count or pay attention to the number. But every once in a while somebody does, and I just have the opportunity to say we were lucky to have had her at all. And I truly feel that, and all of the bereaved mothers that I know do as well. And we just want the chance to keep saying their names. So Hiraeth allowed us that moment, just for a little bit, just to keep saying their names. And I'm so grateful to Abigail's family for participating, and I'm so grateful just to know you and to have her story be a part of Keely's story. And I think they're throwing a little teenage girl party together. And thank you to everybody who is following along. I appreciate your attention. I appreciate the chance to say their names one more time. And we will continue this series. We're rounding it out, coming to the end tomorrow with Harley, Hayden, and Caleb. And I take that back, it will not be tomorrow, but it'll be in the next few days. And I look forward to sharing that story with you. Thank you so much. Please make sure that you subscribe here on YouTube, follow Instagram, and follow on Twitch, and let me know, and it will let you know when I'm live. So thank you so much. Have an awesome day.
That's why I do my mommy. Please.